Hi, Roscoe here. I'm gonna do another part of my my PvP like pet battle kind of beginner intro kind of series. So this one's gonna focus on at the moment, so in 7.2 and probably in 7.25, the strongest pets that you can kind of currently use. Now I've probably like put it down to a list of 6 different pets that I'm gonna say are the strongest, and then also like kind of like the strongest abilities as well that's within the game. A lot of these pets use these abilities, but it just kind of just goes into a bit more depth about them. So the first pet, and probably one of the strongest, is the Bone Serpent. Now you probably see a lot of these when you queue, and it's just because they're really easy to get. You can just buy them off the auction house, which is where I've got mine. They hit so hard. All these abilities are really strong damage abilities. So I mean, these, like having one or two of these on your team makes it really successful. I don't really condone having more than one, because then it becomes really difficult for other people to kind of counter, other people to try and beat you essentially. So, but yeah, this is the first one, and the kind of the cookie cutter default kind of build of it is having a Bone Barrage in the first slot, the Cool Darkness, and then a Nocturnal Strike. The Cool Darkness actually buffs the Nocturnal Strike. It does affect the hit chance of the Bone Barrage, but only a little bit, so it's not too bad. So yeah, this is the first pet that I'm focusing on, and there's several different breeds. The two that I would say probably most common are either the SS, which is this one, or the HH. So the SS is the speed one, and the HH is the kind of the health one. And because speed is so important in the kind of the PvP pet battles, I generally go with the SS just because it's that bit quicker. It has got less health, so you can potentially take one less hit, but then you should hopefully go first, so you shouldn't need to take that hit. And that's kind of how I view it. Obviously there's quicker pets, but that's kind of how I've gone with it. That speed kind of does make a big difference. The next pet that I'm going to talk about, and it's one that seems to be in all the guides. Everyone loves this guy. He heals, dodges, hits fairly hard. Is the Terraclaw Hatchling. So this guy, you can just go and pick him off the floor in Talador, and he's really strong. He's probably the strongest pet in the game at the moment. There are some teams that would do well against him. I'll maybe potentially talk about that in perhaps later in the series. But yeah, he is so good because of this combo, and the combo you want to use is the dodge and the Nature's Ward. The dodge, because you're a fly, you're generally quicker than a lot of things, and obviously if you're quicker, you go first, so you can dodge. So you dodge the first ability from that round, and then you've got it for the next round as well. Your Nature's Ward will be continuing to tick and heal, and then you can either Alpha Strike or Claw. Generally, Alpha Strike is the kind of the default after these two. What's really good about this guy is if you are starting to take some big damage, as long as you've say got 3 or more ticks on your Nature's Ward, just send it to the back line, and as long as you're not really low health, it should take you back to your racial for the flyer, and then you can dodge a Nature's Ward. But yeah, perhaps as soon as you kind of get towards 50% health, throw this up and then just go to the back line, and then you can kind of heal up. Generally you won't take damage on the back line. Sometimes you would from like a dart, AoE, but just kind of see what kind of team you're facing. But yeah, the dodge and then using this to go to the back line. So essentially you do a lot of damage, you go to the back line, you heal up, and then you basically bring him back like a full health Terraclaw Hatchling again. But yeah, this guy is probably the strongest pet in the game at the moment. Then the Wicked Soul. Now this is a strong pet, and there's no denying that. It's really quick. It's got the horn. It's got a heal as well. Generally, there's two varying kind of specs. I usually run with the Haunting Song more often than not. That's what I choose. If you're playing like a Darkness team, you could perhaps go with the Agony. But yeah, essentially, I run Shadow Shock, Haunting Song, and Haunt. And this pet has got great utility. So you can kind of use the Haunt to swap and the heal. It doesn't hit too hard, but it hits hard enough. So that's another really strong pet. It isn't in any of the guides, so it may be one you might have to go and farm or buy off the auction house. And you'd be best to get the SS breed because it is that a bit quicker. It's the kind of the preferred one in the PvP queue, and you can generally get them off the auction house for relatively cheap now that people have kind of been farming that for a while there. And the kind of the partner in crime for this guy, and it makes a really good combo, is the Fiendish Imp. And this guy, SS again, so it needs to be the speed breed. But then this guy with that, the Wicked Soul or any kind of haunt or things, he's really good. The reason he's good is he has this immolation, the Nevergate as well, and it's a good kind of combination. So if you face a pet you don't fancy facing, swap it to the back. And the immolation, you can put that up, go to the back line, and any damage you've taken, you'll slowly heal up, providing they haven't put any kind of shields or stuff up. So as long as this does damage, you will get some healing from your humanoid racial. So humanoids will have a 4% of their maximum health each round. So you slowly kind of tick health back. I think it's around 70 health, I think, that you get. Yeah, this guy is really good. It's a really strong pet. It's quick again, but that is kind of like a requisite in the queue. Now, the next couple of pets aren't necessarily quick, but they are strong or have kind of abilities that kind of make them quick or enhance them in some way. So the Emperor Crab is a very, very strong pet. It's a wild caught pet. You just catch it in Dread Wastes. There's a couple of like spawn spots, kind of it's almost like on a mud flat watery area. And the reason this guy is so good is because he has such high power. He also has a priority move, which is Surge, which is generally the preference, and usually the kind of the cookie cutter spec would be Surge, a healing wave, and then the Shell Shield. You can see that it reduces 94 damage, and that's just because of his power. There are two different breeds you can get, but the power breed is the one that you're going to probably get the most success with, and that's the one I would definitely recommend catching. But as I said, because they're wild caught, there's only two different breeds, so you should hopefully be able to catch him eventually. It did take me too long, maybe 20 minutes or so to get the right one, and with all the stones and stuff that we have now, you can just upgrade him and probably boost him with a couple of these because he's going to be near max level anyway. Then the final pet is one that not many people know about. It isn't even in this list here of the pets I'm going to use for the majority of these videos, but I will include this pet in, and it's the Vengeful Porcupet. Now this guy, not too many people know how good he can be, and I've found, especially because a lot of the other kind of good pets can be weak against him if you can kind of get the situation in right. Basically, you need to Powerball, which increases your speed, to be quicker than his other pets, and then you do actually in fact become much stronger than them with the Spirit Spikes, which is kind of like a shield that does damage, and the Flank, which is based on the speed. But this guy is really kind of like, underrated. Not many people kind of know too much about him. The people that do will sing his praises because he is very, very strong. So this is kind of like almost the secret strong pet in a way. But if you play enough, then you do realise that this guy is a really strong pet. Now I'll go back to the favourites. So some of the abilities that are really strong in this kind of mini game in the pet PvP queue are Haunt. Haunt is definitely one of the strongest abilities because it's a dot. It allows you to swap out, and there's 3 different pets that have this. So there's the Wicked Soul I talked about. There's the Ghastly Kid. That again is a very strong pet. It has the Haunt, and then there's the Unborn Valk as well. And a lot of people generally have these 2 pets definitely, and they both run that kind of Haunt and you've got the Haunt Curse of Doom, or you've got the Ethereal and Haunt. So both those pets are strong as well, but that is for the Haunt. And essentially the Haunt, generally you play it as in you start with that pet, and then you try and get it off onto the opposition. You need to sometimes be careful in case they've got dodges available, other kind of immunities. Sometimes if they've got to consume magic, it might not be ideal to do that as well. But you just have to kind of see what you're facing, and I'll perhaps go a little bit more into that when I actually do the battles I'm going to do for this. Another really strong ability is Magma Trap. Now the Magma Raging is a strong pet. It is very reliant on this trap. So I mean, this pet can be one of the best pets in the game if the trap goes off at the right time, or it can just be kind of your normal pet if it doesn't go off at the right time. Only a couple of pets use this particular trap. The reason it's so strong is it goes off at the start of the round, and you can't predict it, so there's no real way to counter it. A critter could with its racial, but it can't be stunned, but it's still going to take the damage. So there's this trap here that's used by these 2 guys, and then I think the Wolvar Pup is the other one. So then there's Snap Trap, which is it's basically the same move with a different type, like strength type. So this is a mechanical, the other 2 is elemental. Yeah, and the reason that those kind of abilities are so strong is they're really difficult to kind of avoid and dodge or try and manage, because there's the random nature to it. It can go off at a good time, or it can go off at a bad time, and generally when it goes off at a bad time, you probably lose the game. And it is, unfortunately, even I struggle against the trap teams just because of the random nature of it, especially if you haven't got a team that's going to be able to perhaps take that stun or deal with that stun effectively. Another very strong ability, or abilities, because it's kind of one of several, any kind of speed increase or decrease abilities. For example, this Foxling has Dazzling Dance, which increases your team speed by 25%. There are several kind of different ones of these. There's like Adrenaline Rush that increases the speed. There's Primal Cry that decreases it. Now there is a whole range of these kind of spells and abilities, so it's quite tricky for me to kind of go through them all. Let me just put that onto the favourites. But things like the Powerballs are kind of a singular one that you can use. Also, the priority move is strong, and it is kind of a speed increase in a way, and that you are always going to be quicker than the opponent. So those abilities are very strong, and as the speed can make things like the dodge really powerful, because if you're quicker, you dodge two, in a sense, 2 rounds, because you dodge the round that you have dodged on, so their next ability, as well as the following round when your dodge is also up. So that kind of makes it really strong, as long as you're quicker and there's no kind of priority moves in there. There are other similar abilities, like Ethereal is one, where you can potentially avoid the hit that's coming in, or the deflection as well is another one where you potentially avoid a big nuke or some kind of cooldown that's coming up. You can potentially manage that and use one of these kind of strong abilities to perhaps mitigate and reduce how bad it impacts you. Another, and this is more of a combo than actually a kind of like a ability on its own. The combo is a Cool Darkness or Blind and the Nocturnal Strike. Now there's a lot of pets that kind of have this combo, like there's some flying pets like owls, the ravens and crows have it. Also there's a similar ability to Nocturnal Strike, it's called Spectral Swipe, I think. Spectral Strike. And it works on a similar kind of basis. See if I can find a pet with it. Spectral Strike. So it works in a similar way to Nocturnal Strike, but this one is magic, whereas the other one is flying. But you're going to find pets with this combination far more than you will any other kind of Cool Darkness, and that's kind of why I've mentioned it. That it's going to be so kind of prevalent in the queues that it's kind of worth being aware of this really hard hitting combo. Cool Darkness hits hard, so does Nocturnal Strike, so you're going to have to take a lot of damage unless you can kind of mitigate it or kind of avoid it somehow. And the kind of the final ability, and it is strong in a way, it isn't perhaps as strong as some of those other abilities, is a swap. So you start the battle and say that a Valk comes up against your Imp. It's not a good matchup for you because of the type damage at advantage, so you could just navigate it out. So if they wanted to have that same matchup again, they'd have to waste a turn swapping it in, where you could say put up your Immolation and then swap to the back line. It is worth just kind of noting with the swaps, you need to be aware of not only what you're swapping out, but what pet you're swapping in. So if I was trying to swap something out and it was a Valk into my Imp, it may not be the kind of the best move to try that. Yeah, so this is the kind of the second part in a way of the video, and it's just kind of about the strongest pets and the strongest abilities as well. Just so you kind of know what you're going to be facing or what you need to expect in the queue, because people do run these teams. I mean, people run the strongest possible teams that they can, so they can be very difficult to kind of beat, or when you come up against them you're facing an uphill task. So yeah, but this is the second part. The first kind of part where I've actually gone into more detail. The second part of the beginner series. I hope that you do find it useful. I think the next two, they're probably going to be the most useful two in regards to kind of creating a team and then how to kind of play against other pets and other things like that. So thank you for watching. I'll try and get the other two videos up relatively quickly, or other 3 videos relatively quickly, just so that you can kind of go through the whole series in one. Great, thank you for watching.